All right, welcome everybody. Are you curious about what's going on in real estate, local events or happenings, or maybe you're just curious about what it's like to live in Northwest Indiana? Well, if that sounds like you, then you've come to the right place. Welcome to The Word Around Town, episode 16. I'm Steve Jamrock with Realty Executives Premier, your host, and in this podcast, my goal is to keep you updated and educated on what's going on in the real estate world, along with all the things that are impacting our Northwest Indiana communities. And this week, could we start to see some new inventory on the market soon? I'll give you my weekly Bears Moving to Indiana update, and actually we got some breaking news on that front. There's some new appraisal requirements starting this year and not being talked enough about. New laws in the real estate world aimed at AI and photo editing, and another lawsuit very eerily similar to one that's already existing has come to against a major real estate player. Indiana is working hard to protect consumers before these lawsuits can come into effect. My weekly plea to you to stop using Zillow as the real estate end-all be-all. And then cargo traffic is booming at the Gary airport, and a major investment from an international company is coming to Lowell, along with a long-awaited Crown Point restaurant is getting closer to opening. So we'll dive into all that and a little bit more here this week. But first, as always, guys, thank you to everybody who continues to support this podcast. If this is your first time here, thank you for joining in. Thanks for watching. Or if you're over on Spotify, thanks for tuning in and listening there as well. I greatly appreciate you. If you wouldn't mind, whatever platform you're on, hit that subscribe or follow button. If you like what you hear, give it a thumbs up. And most importantly, please share this with anybody you know who may find this information useful as well. I know over on YouTube, I'm at 98 subscribers right now. I would love to get over 100. So please continue to share this, please. Greatly appreciate it. I'd love to get over 100 subscribers this week. That would be fantastic. Oh, and of course, if you have any questions, I want to keep this interactive. Please leave your comments, thoughts in the comment boxes below. I do respond to you. And again, I do take your comments and suggestions very serious. I want to keep this interactive and this podcast flowing for you and what's interesting to you. So first off, I want to talk a little bit about our real estate market. I'm not going to get too in-depth here today. Probably do a little bit more deep dive next week as we start a new month. But one thing happened last week that kind of caught me off guard. I went on 3 different listing appointments, and they were from... And while going on listing appointments weren't surprising, but they were from consumers or customers, I guess, in my database that reached out, been marketing them for a while. And their main goal was just kind of judge what their property was worth and kind of what's happening in the market should they decide they want to make a move. And it really got me thinking that this really sounds like a lot of you out there who are homeowners right now that are sitting on low interest rates, or maybe you want to make a move, but you don't know where to go yet, can't find the right house, there's no inventory, things that we've been talking about for quite a while on this podcast and elsewhere. But it was really interesting to hear and discuss this with these homeowners that, yeah, they just want to be prepared. They don't know if they're ready to make a move. They don't know where they're going. It was a very similar conversation with all 3 homeowners that, hey, we just kind of want to know where we're at, what our house could sell for, and if the conditions were right, we want to be ready to make a move. So I'll be curious as we get closer to spring, how many more homeowners like that in that similar situation are going to start reaching out to realtors and kind of just gauging and judging where they're at, just in case the market conditions fit their goals and they want to be ready to make a move. So again, it just kind of reinforces that there are a lot of people out there that do want to make a move, but for whatever reason, whether it's those low interest rates that they have or timing just isn't right for whatever, they're still holding tight. So this is a kind of a very interesting sign. Like I said, we'll keep an eye on that. Now I'll keep you up to date as we go forward, but I got a feeling that we might see a little bit more inventory than I originally thought, just from the early signs of the market. Now, as far as the market in general, it's a little sluggish to start, not going to lie, and a lot of that has to do with our weather. And for those of you that aren't in Northwest Indiana, are watching from somewhere warmer, I hope, over the last couple of years, we've had some very mild winters. And this year, we've been reminded harshly that we live in the north and our winters can be brutal at times. And between the snowfall and just the last 2 weeks of zero wind chills and cold temperatures. It's been a harsh reminder to a lot of us here of what our winters truly can be here in Northwest Indiana. So again, buyer activity has been a little bit low between the snowfall and the cold weather. I do expect that to tick up here very soon as the weather starts to break in the next week here. So again, I'll give you a little bit more in-depth into the market and talk about some numbers and stats next week, but just kind of wanted to throw that out there to you. Found it very interesting that, again, 3 different consumers, 3 different houses, didn't know each other, but very, very similar goals and paths of just kind of wanting to be ready to make a move if the market conditions met their goals moving forward. So we'll keep you up to date on our market going forward. And speaking of keeping you up to date, got to talk about the Bears. Bears moving to Indiana, and until that is completely off the table, I'm going to continue to talk about it. And we actually have a little bit of breaking news on this front as well. As I was preparing this podcast today, some news broke downstate, and we'll get into that in a second. But unfortunately, Bears are out of the playoffs. Played another crazy, wild game there against the Rams, unfortunately ending up losing in overtime. It was great to see the Bears have that kind of season and knowing that they could really match up with anybody in that NFC and actually the AFC. I think they stood a very good chance against Seattle and or New England if they made it this far. But with that said, their stadium is still a hot topic on both sides, in Illinois and Indiana, but it seems more so in the Indiana side. A couple weeks ago, it seemed like Illinois was finally waking up and realizing that this isn't just the Bears posturing or negotiating, but that they could actually be serious about picking up and leaving Illinois for Indiana, especially with the proposals that Indiana has put on the table for the Bears. So we had a lot of Illinois politicians finally saying, after months and months of we like the Bears, but we have more important issues to deal with, to finally coming around to saying, hey, we really want the Bears to stay here. In the meantime, Indiana has been full steam ahead and really showing not only Chicago and the Bears, but showing everybody that doing business in Indiana, they're ready to go. They can move incredibly quick compared to a lot of other states when it comes to these type of business transactions. So while Illinois is still kind of talking and just kind of going back and forth and saying, yeah, well, we care about you, but we don't know if we're going to get to you or not, Indiana has stepped up and said, yeah, we're not only caring about you, we are getting to you. We're making you a priority. So with that said, the breaking news today is that the Indiana Senate voted 46-2 on the stadium funding bill that would allow the Bears to build a stadium here in Northwest Indiana. And that vote now moves over to the House of Representatives here in Indiana. But again, the key thing is to keep in mind that passed the Indiana Senate 46-2. That is huge support for this stadium proposal here in Northwest Indiana. So it shows that bipartisan on both sides of the aisle, they would like to get this done. And that just shoots another message over to the Bears that say, hey, we're serious. We would love to have you here, and we're ready to do business with you if you're tired of being kicked around over on the Illinois side. So, again, that was really interesting news to come through there. So once it passes the House, which I'm sure it will, I know there's a couple lawmakers that are kind of would like to see a firm commitment from the Bears before they get the votes, but for most part, it seems like it should pass the House here relatively soon, and then the ball will be in the Bears' court. If they, it's a very, very win-win offer for the Bears moving to Northwest Indiana, except for the fact that they would have to leave Chicago. So, on that same topic, I did hear through the grapevine as well that Portage is working up a proposal to present to the Bears as well. So outside of Gary and Hammond, reported just saying, we're outside of the area that the Bears wanted to be. We're a little bit farther away from the state line there, but we do offer readily shovel-ready land for you, and we're close to the train station, and we're close to both the toll road and 94. So it sounds like they're getting a proposal ready, and when they do, we'll go ahead and cover that for you as well. And again, guys, I know this is still a long shot, but the longer it takes Illinois to give the Bears a commitment, and the faster that Indiana continues to move, and now knowing that the Senate approved this bill funding their new stadium already, if it comes through the House as quickly as it should, and it is presented to the Bears, man, that's a tough piece of pie to say no to. I'll tell you that. So, again, still believe it's a long shot, but man, that is incredibly tempting for any NFL team to kind of not take that proposal there. Now, I get a lot sometimes, why am I so excited about this Bear Stadium project here in Northwest Indiana? And, we have a team down in Indianapolis. The Bears are the Bears. Why do we want them here in Northwest Indiana? And really, unless you're a Packers fan or you just don't want to deal with increased traffic, it's really a no-brainer if we can bring the Bears here to Northwest Indiana, guys. Between the jobs, the improved infrastructure, developments, commercial developments, residential housing developments that would result in a stadium moving over here, the tax dollars for communities, tourism revenue, the amount of money from Illinois fans who are coming here, from fans in Indiana that are coming to the stadium here and spending their money in and around the stadium. Again, housing values would increase in those markets. Just so many positives that this would bring to Northwest Indiana. Not to mention that, again, this will be an enclosed stadium, so it's not just going to be for the Bears to use during the football season. You could host basketball Final Fours, college football playoffs, concerts, a potential Super Bowl, a large local events. It would be a year-round project to use and inject money into Northwest Indiana on a year-round basis. This is really just an exciting project, something that hasn't this exciting been in front of Northwest Indiana in quite some time. It really, again, outside of the added traffic and congestion it may bring, it's really a win-win for Northwest Indiana. So, again, until it is dead, until Chicago Bears say that, no way, we're staying in Chicago or we're moving to Arlington Heights, we're going to keep this open and keep discussing it here because the Bears would look great in Northwest Indiana. So, all right, let's get back to real estate a little bit. And Friday, I had a continuing education class I took on appraisals and measuring houses. The first half was on appraisals, second half was how to measure houses. And the second class, the measuring of the house, was really eye-opening to me. I didn't realize that as an industry, there's so many different ways that we measure a house. And there's a new requirement that has been put into place, or I should say that is enacting here in 2026, called the ANSI requirements. And I should have had, what ANSI stands for here. Let me look it up here. Yeah, just ANSI appraisal standards going into place here in 2026. It's going to standardize the way that appraisers and the industry measure houses, especially on the appraisal side. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are requiring this. So if a lender wants a loan to be able to be purchased by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, then they'll have to use an appraiser who's using these ANSI requirements. And the main thing is that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac uses a lot of AI now, running their appraisals through AI, just to quickly check and double check everything to make sure something conforms or doesn't conform. And by having standardized measurements, it will expedite the process of getting through their AI systems and over to their underwriters much quicker there. So having everybody, but more importantly, it's going to have everybody on the same page. And the biggest changes here that I got is that it's going to be what is considered a finished living area. Okay, so right now, the way that a house is measured into our multiple listing service is gross living area is considered any finished part of the house. So if you have a 1,400 square foot home and you have a full finished basement, then it would be considered a 2,000 square foot of a gross living area. Well, under these new standards, any part of the house below grade, whether it's a finished basement, a walkout basement, a bi-level house, if any part of that property is below grade at all, it is no longer considered in the gross living area. It's still given value. It is still notated, but for the appraisal measurement part of the appraisal, they are just considering gross living area from the ground floor up. So again, back to that situation where if we had that 1,400 square foot ranch with a 1,400 square foot basement that is finished, the gross living area of that property would be 1,400 square foot. And then it would be noted that we have a full finished 1,400 square foot basement as well there. So again, it shouldn't change valuations at all. It's just going to be kind of a different way of looking at square footage, that we've looked at square footage for so long that, oh, look at that 3,000 square foot house over there, when actually 500 of that was below grade but finished. So it's going to take a little get used to. We're going to have some appraisals that are going to be different from what's happening in our multiple listing service. That will be a little eye-opening at time for a lot of people, because in our multiple listing service, it's not requiring us to change that yet. So it will be interesting to see if our MLSs catch up and evolve, which they probably will, to make sure that we are all on the same page. But it's very possible that, you can go ahead and look at that 3,000 square foot house, put in an offer, get it accepted, get your appraisal back, and it comes back as a 1,500 square foot house, but yet still appraised for the amount that you purchased it. So it's going to be a learning experience for everyone. But again, just want to make you aware that one of the big things is that finished living area below grade will no longer be calculated within the gross living area of the house. And then the second part is going to be on sloped ceilings. Think of finished attic spaces or rooms above the garage where you have a sloped ceiling, okay? Cape Cod style homes, dormers, etc. So first off, the ceiling needs to be at least 7 feet high. And in that area, at least 50% of that finished area needs to be at least 7 feet high. So if you have, let's say you walk up into a finished attic space and you have an 8-foot ceiling, and that finished area with the 8-foot ceiling is 300 square feet, but the entire finished space up there is 800 square feet. So that's less than 50% that has the 7 foot at least minimum ceiling. So that wouldn't be counted as gross living area. The other change is the slope ceiling. So they're only going to include ceilings that are 7 feet and a minimum of 5 feet. So anything below 5 feet from the ceiling is not considered finished living area. So again, think of our slope ceilings, and then you have the knee-high walls. These are very popular, in garages, garage finished, attic finishes, or Cape Cods. So they're only going to calculate the living area from that 7 foot or more ceiling down to wherever that pitch reaches that 5 foot mark. Once it reaches under 5 foot, they no longer consider that living area. So those knee-high walls that are only 2-3 feet high that are finished, you use that area, but they're not going to be considered in the gross living area. So again, it's going to take some getting used to. These are, again, requirements that are coming from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. I'm sure they will be adapted by HUD and FHA here soon as well. But again, you're going to be a little bit of a shock when you see that the house is listed for this square foot, but over here on the appraisal, it's taking away some of that living area. So again, you're still getting value for that. It's just going to be calculated in a square foot much differently now. Now, another new interesting law is coming into effect, or I should say is already in effect in California. And I'm hoping that this goes nationwide because it has to do with property listings, their photos and videos, and the over-edited photos and videos that we're seeing out there. So the main goal of this law is to protect the consumer from what you see online should be a true representation of what you walk into when you go to tour the house. And so long, real estate photography is good. My wife is a real estate photographer. She does a good job. I love her work because she actually does a really good job of presenting the house in its true form. And there's nothing more annoying than meeting up with your client at a property when they see a house that they love online. They looked at the pictures look great, and you walk in the house and it looks nothing like what the pictures are. And that is what this law is intended to do, is eliminate the over-editing, dramatization of some of these videos and photos to make sure that you're getting a true picture and representation of the property. Some of the things that have been done in the past, editing out power lines, editing out, the neighbor's RV. One of my favorites is, here we are in Northwest Indiana. While we got a lot of snow on the ground right now, a couple weeks ago we didn't, and the grass was brown. And then you see a new listing come out and the grass is green. The trees have leaves. Guys, it's December, January, and, everything's dead. But yet that listing photo shows everything bright green and fresh. And while it looks great, is that a true representation of the property? No, I don't think so. So again, that's what we're trying to get to. And especially now with the way that AI can edit, and especially with the popularity of virtual staging as well, whereas you're looking at something online. Before you could tell when something was virtually staged, but again, AI is getting so good now that it's, you see something online that looks great. You see this living room or this finished basement, and then you get there and there's no furniture, no plants, no carpet, it's just bare, vacant space. You're like, whoa, what is this? So again, the law is going to require that, one, anything that's virtually staged or overly edited or edited out of a photo is disclosed. And then two, the original photo needs to be placed in there next to that edited photo. So you will know that, hey, okay, you're flipping through, disclaimer, this is a virtually staged room. And then the next picture will be the room without the virtual staging. So I think that is a great idea. I hope that goes nationwide. Again, it's so important that you get a true representation of what that house should be. Now, I'm curious, and this is where I want you guys to chime in, please. Go ahead and leave the comments below in the box there. What do you guys like as consumers, though? For me, I've always been about making the house the star. But again, with AI and photo and video, especially video editing nowadays, I'm seeing some videos that are just over the top artistic, they're attention grabbing. Sure, you're like, whoa, that was cool. But then when you think back to what did I just watch and what did I see about the house? There's nothing, it's a really cool edited, produced video, but it tells me really nothing about the house. So as you, the consumer, are scrolling online and looking at properties, what attracts you to a property? Is it the scroll stopping, artistic produced video? Or is it, hey, that house caught my attention. I really like it. I really want to see what the house is like. And again, for me, my opinion only, I always want to make the house a star. So whenever we did a video or photos, you walk through and you make sure that you can see what's going on in this room, what's going on in this room. Here's the flow of the house. To me, it seems like serious home buyers would like that a lot better than the overly produced artistic videos. But again, maybe that's what gets you to stop the scroll. Maybe that's what gets you interested in the property. So I can see it both ways, but I like to hear from you. As a home buyer who's out there shopping, do you want to be blown away by the artistic produced video? Or do you want to be able to physically see what's going on with the house, how the house flows, what's going on in this room and that room without flying through, zooming back, zooming forward? So leave your thoughts in the comments below. Love to hear what you guys think. Which way do you prefer? That overly artistic video that has that wow factor, or do you like just a down to earth, what's happening, show me the house, let me see what it looks like, kind of video there. So curious what you have to say. Again, please leave those in the comments below. Now, sticking with real estate, we have another lawsuit that has been filed against a major real estate company here, and it's very similar to another suit that's already been placed. So a recent class action lawsuit was filed against Rocket Mortgage, and Rocket Mortgage recently purchased Redfin, so they're in there as well. It's very similar to the suit that Zillow is facing right now and Zillow Home Loans, where the class action states that Rocket is steering consumers to use their mortgage product, and they're incentivizing agents or threatening agents with not providing leads to their agents if they do not steer their clients to their mortgage division. So again, this is very similar, almost identical to what Zillow is facing and Zillow Home Loans is facing with their Flex program. It's important to remember that as these lawsuits come out, there's going to be more and more of them. These are not going away, unfortunately. Like I said a while back, I wouldn't be surprised that if this eventually hits home builders who offered some great incentives, but you had to use their lender. I could definitely see that happening here in the near future. But with that said, as always, guys, if you are out there buying a house, wherever you're at, remember you have options. You do not have to use... If you came to me and I said, hey, I had a great job, a great lender over here does a great job, Bob Smith, he's fantastic, give him a call. You're more than happy to use Bob Smith, but you're also more than happy to use whoever you like out there. You do not have to be forced into using a specific lender, and that's the whole part of this, is that you should not be... have to use somebody just to grab an incentive. You should be able to use your own lender, whoever you want in the real estate transaction. So again, guys, it's options. We are going to continue to follow these lawsuits because there are going to be more and more of them coming out here. And I'm sure it's going to lead to some changes here in our real estate world. And here in Indiana, it is going to lead to some changes because there is a bill that should be passed here relatively soon. It's a clean, straightforward bill, expected to be voted on very soon. I'm actually headed down Monday with some other realtors from the area and throughout throughout Indiana, as well as we're going to go down there and lobby for this bill and a couple of others that will help protect consumers in our real estate world. And this particular bill is just straightforward. That says it's a straightforward disclosure of any referral fees within a real estate transaction. So again, if I was taking if somebody from a lender said, hey, Steve, I have a client I want to refer over to you, will you go ahead and do that for 10% of your commission? Well, I would go ahead and say, absolutely, we'd sign everything, and then I'd have a disclosure form in place to present to that client when we meet that everybody would sign that says, hey, I'm going to be working with you. I was referred to you by Bob Smith, and in exchange, I'm giving him X amount of my commission or whatever back to him. So again, that is a bill that is expected to be signed into law, that we will have disclosures, straightforward consumer protection for you all to be more transparent when it comes to referral fees in the real estate transaction. Now, one more thing about the real estate world here, and I want to talk about Zillow again. I've beat this horse before, and I want to get back to it, that everyone continues to use Zillow as the real estate end-all, be-all. They are a fantastic tech company with an amazing platform for searching for homes. But every time that a media company or whoever tries to reference them as their real estate source, it just leaves a lump in my throat because the information really is bad. Most recently, there was an article in Inman's. Inman's is a real estate trade magazine, and the article referenced the most buyer-friendly markets, and they used information from Zillow about these buyer-friendly markets. Now, according to the article, Indianapolis was top in the U.S. for buyer-friendly markets, which is awesome. Hey, great headline for Indianapolis. Way to go. Way to be top in the U.S. for the buyer-friendly market. But was not so awesome was, again, the data that they used. So one of the things that they used for buyer-friendly markets was that Indianapolis had one of the lower median sales prices, which is very budget-friendly for home buyers. But what they don't take into account is that they used the median sales price for the entire Indy metro area. They didn't take into account where home buyers really want to move to when moving to Indianapolis. And that's typically outside the metro area into the suburbs like Carmel, Fishers, Westfield, Noblesville, Zionsville, Greenwood. Ask home buyers who are searching in those areas how they feel about the median sales price. I guarantee you they are not going to tell you that it is that buyer friendly. And the other thing that really irked me about this article is that they stated that not only was the median sales price low, but that there was not a lot of competition in the Indy market, which led to a prime opportunity for home buyers to snag a deal. And I quote, snag a deal. Again, guys, Indianapolis is one of the fastest growing markets like Northwest Indiana in the state of Indiana. So if you're telling a home buyer that, oh, hey, there's low competition, it's great for you, you're going to get a great deal on the house, it's just flat out wrong. Ask the home buyers down there in Northwest Indiana or shopping, in Indianapolis area or throughout Indiana if they feel like they're getting a deal right now. And I'm going to tell you they don't. Home prices are still very much at the high points that they've been throughout the state of Indiana, and especially in those areas. Sure, there's always a deal to be had, but to point out that Indianapolis is so buyer-friendly because it's cheap and you can snag a deal, I just think that was crappy, what am I trying to say here? Sorry. Kind of shoddy reporting. They just kind of took that low-hanging fruit and went with it instead of digging a little bit deeper in there. So, again, guys, nothing as Indianapolis is great. I do believe it's a buyer-friendly market. I think Northwest Indiana is a buyer-friendly market, and I think a lot of communities here throughout the state of Indiana are very buyer-friendly as well when you compare it nationwide. But don't just sit there and tell us that you're going to snag a deal because the median sales price is low, when in reality, those areas where buyers wants to go, that's where the competition is. That's where everybody wants to be. So, again, I implore you, stop using Zillow as your real estate end-all, be-all. Talk to a local agent to get your real estate news. Everybody's going to be better off. Our markets will be better off if you do it that way as well. Now, another bill currently looking for approval in Indianapolis is authored by Frank Mervan here in Highland, Indiana, and it's for a future expansion of the Gary International Airport. And for those of you that don't know, Gary Airport has been booming in the cargo business here recently. Over the last couple of years, UPS has a long-term lease signed there at the Gary Airport. So Frank Mervan is trying to solicit funds. I shouldn't say solicit funds. That doesn't come out right. Is trying to get funds appropriated, I guess would be the right word, to the Gary Airport for an expansion of the Gary Airport where they can add in a heavy cargo apron is what they're calling it, that would help facilitate the increased cargo traffic that they're seeing there. So again, more good news for Gary. The Gary Airport is kind of a hidden gem there for a long time. They've tried some different things in and out of there, from international flights to flights to Vegas and Legion Air. But right now they are just cranking it with cargo, and maybe that's the what we're going to see. That's the right thing for the Gary Airport. I don't know, but right now it's working well, and expanding that to help facilitate more cargo flights into Gary, that's a good thing. Also talking about investment into Northwest Indiana, John Deere is investing $125 million into a site in Lowell off of State Road 2 and just east of I-65 to construct a 1.2 million square foot distribution center. So yes, that's a $125 million investment for a 1.2 million square foot distribution center in Lowell. And John Deere says this is going to help streamline their parts distribution throughout nationwide and worldwide as well. And this is just another huge investment here from a worldwide brand here in Northwest Indiana. Just really good news to see more and more of these large world-renowned companies moving into Northwest Indiana. And finally, guys, on a smaller note, a new restaurant is finally getting ready to open in downtown Crown Point. And I'm really excited about this one. But Parisi Italian Kitchen is getting closer to open. We've been watching this for a while. They're going to be open on the south side of the square in Crown Point, where the old Ricochet Tacos restaurant was. They've been extensively remodeling the interior for a while now, and following Chef Parisi online, looks like he's really trying to do things right to get this place open there, but it's going to offer fresh, homemade Italian cuisine. I think it's going to be a huge plus to our Crown Point Square. Lucretia Italian restaurant there off of Main and Joliet is... I'm sorry, not Main and Walnut is still the OG. Love it, but this one here looks really good as well. So really excited to see when this one comes here. They're currently hiring, so there's no open date yet, but they hope to open within the next month or two. And now that they're hiring for it, it seems like that is opening is getting imminent. So once they do open, I will definitely report back for you as well. So, all right, guys, a lot of information for you. Check back next week. We'll do a little deep dive into our market numbers. Hopefully we'll have some more information on the Bears for you as well. And again, if you have any questions, comments, again, I love to hear from you what you think about the real estate videos, what you like there. Glitz and glam versus functional. Let me know. Leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching as always, guys, and we will see you next week.